Thrive, the third metric to redefining success and creating a life of well-being, wisdom, and wonder, by Arianna Huffington. Picture this moment with me. It's the morning of April 6th, 2007. By every measure the world cares about, you're absolutely crushing it. You've co-founded The Huffington Post, a media empire growing faster than anyone imagined. Magazine covers, Time's list of the 100 most influential people. You've got it all. The money, the power, the influence. Everything society promises will make you feel successful. But this particular morning, you're not in some boardroom making deals. You're not on TV sharing your wisdom with millions. You're on the floor of your home office, lying in your own blood. You collapse from pure exhaustion, your head smashed into your desk on the way down, broken cheekbone, a nasty gash over your eye. And as you lie there, dazed and bleeding, one question forces its way into your mind. Is this really what success looks like? This isn't fiction. This actually happened to Arianna Huffington, and it's how her deeply important book, Thrive, begins. That collapse wasn't from some mystery illness. After endless brain scans and heart tests, every doctor said the same thing: burnout. She'd been working 18-hour days, 7 days a week, buying into the myth that this is just the price you pay for building something great. That wake-up call, as she puts it, launched her on a mission to rethink what success actually means. She realized our society's definition runs almost entirely on two metrics: money and power. It's like trying to balance on a two-legged stool. Sure, you might manage it for a while, maybe even years, but eventually, you're going down. Thrive is her search for that crucial third leg. It's about discovering a new way to live, a third metric that goes way beyond your bank account and job title. This isn't just memoir or self-help tips. It's a full-on manifesto for a better life, mixing ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science. It's sold millions of copies and sparked conversations worldwide because it touches something so many of us feel deep down. There has to be more to life than this endless climb. By the time we're done today, you'll understand the hidden cost of our modern success obsession. More importantly, you'll have a blueprint for a life that's not just about achieving, but about genuinely thriving. It's built on four powerful but simple pillars: well-being, wisdom, wonder, and giving. And it all starts with that terrifying moment on the office floor. Arianna Huffington's story hits home because it's one so many of us recognize, even if our version isn't quite as dramatic. We live in a culture that worships more hours, more hustle, more achievements. We practically wear our exhaustion like a medal. We brag about running on 4 hours of sleep. Deep down, we believe the person who sacrifices the most wins. But wins what, exactly? That's what Arianna found herself asking in all those doctors' waiting rooms. She'd won the game everyone was playing, but somewhere along the way, she'd lost something infinitely more valuable: herself. Her life was spinning out of control. And looking around, she saw the same thing happening everywhere. Successful people, impressive people, all toppling over from the same unstable two-legged stool. This idea of success, she explains, is surprisingly new, mostly designed by men for a world where someone else managed everything outside the office. But it's failing everyone, men included, and women are paying an especially brutal price. The numbers are stark. Women in high-stress jobs face nearly 40% higher risk of heart disease and 60% greater risk of diabetes. As women have made incredible workplace gains over 3 decades, their stress levels have gone through the roof. And it's not just veteran professionals. Millennials, the youngest workers, now report the highest stress levels of any generation. Our entire Western work culture, which we've exported globally, runs on stress, sleep deprivation, and burnout. It's basically a civilization-wide illness. And it's not just destroying our health. It's killing our performance. Some of history's worst disasters, the Exxon Valdez spill, the Challenger explosion, Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, all had at least one thing in common: sleep deprivation played a role. We've bought into a dangerous myth that high performance requires sacrificing our well-being. Thrive argues, with mountains of evidence, that the exact opposite is true. Which brings us to the first pillar of the third metric, well-being. If we want to build a sustainable life, one where we thrive instead of just survive, we need to renovate the very foundation of how we live. And that foundation starts with health. The most underrated yet powerful tool? Sleep. Arianna calls herself a sleep evangelist, and she's earned it. For years, she was like that guy at dinner who proudly announced he'd only slept 4 hours. She resisted telling him the conversation would have been way more interesting if he'd gotten 5. Sleep deprivation has somehow become this weird badge of honor, but the science is crystal clear. Lack of sleep makes us dumber, less creative, less empathetic, and way less effective. Bill Clinton once admitted, "Every important mistake I've made in my life, I've made because I was too tired." When leaders are exhausted, they make terrible decisions. When we're exhausted, we make terrible decisions. One study even found that an extra hour of sleep does more for daily happiness than a $60,000 raise. Turns out, our brains need sleep to literally clean themselves. A 2013 study showed that during sleep, the brain flushes out harmful waste proteins that build up while we're awake. One researcher put it beautifully. The brain has to choose between 2 states, awake and aware, or asleep and cleaning up. Most of us are doing way too much entertaining and nowhere near enough cleaning. So how do we start? Arianna's journey began with a New Year's resolution she made with Cindy Leave, then editor-in-chief of Glamour magazine. They decided to make sleep a feminist issue. Of all sleep-deprived people in America, working moms are the most exhausted. They both committed to full nights, 7.5 hours for Cindy, 8 for Arianna. It wasn't easy. It required creating rituals. Arianna started treating her devices like unruly kids. All phones had to charge far from her bed to avoid midnight email temptation. She discovered the simple pleasure of actual pajamas, real, going-to-bed clothes, that signaled her body to wind down. Cindy found a brilliant trick for racing minds. Counting backward from 300 by threes. Works like magic, she says, and you rarely get below 250. The results? Transformative. Arianna started waking naturally, no alarm, feeling actually refreshed. Her morning workouts got stronger. More energy, more creativity, better sense of humor about life's little annoyances. She learned that getting enough sleep isn't lazy, it's performance enhancement. Talk about sleeping your way to the top. The sports world figured this out ages ago. While business celebrates the all-nighter, elite athletes know recovery is where strength happens. A groundbreaking Stanford study with the basketball team showed that when players increased sleep to 10 hours nightly, their performance exploded. Free throws improved 9%. Three-point shooting jumped over 9%. They were faster, happier, less tired. Superstars like Kobe Bryant and LeBron James treat sleep and meditation as critical tools. Former coach Phil Jackson, who led Michael Jordan's Bulls and Kobe's Lakers to multiple championships, made his players practice mindfulness, building mental strength alongside physical strength. Which brings us to the second element of well-being, mindfulness and meditation. When Arianna first heard mindfulness, she was confused. Her mind was plenty full already. She needed to empty it. But then she learned something beautiful. In many Asian languages, the word for mind and heart are the same. So mindfulness also means heartfulness. It's not just about thoughts, it's about your whole being. For centuries, the West saw this as exotic, something for monks on mountaintops. Now science has caught up to ancient wisdom, and the results are stunning. Meditation doesn't just make you feel good, it physically changes your brain. Studies show it increases the thickness of your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus and decision-making. It switches on genes that boost your immune system and reduce inflammation. One study found meditators have 23% lower mortality rates. It's like a miracle drug with 0 side effects. And you don't need hours daily. Richard Davidson, a leading neuroscientist, found remarkable results in people who meditated just 20 minutes a day for 3 weeks. The only thing to do in meditation, Arianna says, is nothing. We don't do meditation. Meditation does us. It's a practice available any moment, simply by focusing on breath. This isn't exclusive to Eastern traditions. It's at the heart of Western contemplative practices, too. Christian divine reading, Quaker silence, Trappist centering prayer, Catholic rosary, they're all pathways to the same quiet center. The business world is finally catching on. Companies like Google, General Mills, and Aetna have introduced mindfulness programs with undeniable results. At Aetna, employees in yoga and meditation programs saw 7% drops in healthcare costs and gained an average of 69 minutes of productivity daily. The CEO of Bridgewater, one of the world's largest hedge funds, calls meditation the single most important reason for his success. Well-being also involves our relationship with movement, particularly the simple act of walking. One of Arianna's favorite phrases is Latin, solvitur ambulando, it is solved by walking. She discovered her best Huffington Post ideas came while hiking. She started replacing sit-down meetings with walking meetings. When you walk side by side, you literally face problems together. No phones, no distractions, just shared journey and heightened connection. Science confirms what philosophers from Thoreau to Nietzsche knew intuitively. Walking is powerful for physical and mental health. Studies show it boosts brain connectivity, enhances creativity, and effectively treats mild to moderate depression. Meanwhile, sitting is incredibly damaging. A famous 1950s study showed London bus drivers who sat all day had much higher heart disease rates than conductors constantly walking the aisles. The final piece of the well-being puzzle is our relationship with technology. Our devices, promising connection, have become the primary source of our disconnection from ourselves, each other, and the world. We're living in an age of what experts call continuous partial attention. We're partly tuned into everything, but never fully present for anything. The average smartphone user checks their device every 6.5 minutes, 150 times daily. This hyperconnectivity is the snake in our digital Garden of Eden. It creates chronic email apnea, where we unconsciously hold our breath checking messages, triggering our stress response. It creates time macho culture, a relentless competition to work harder, stay later, be always on. The solution? Consciously, deliberately unplug. Maybe play phone stacking at dinner, where the first person to grab their phone pays. Maybe adopt company policies like Volkswagen's, which turns off work emails on employees' phones after 6 p.m., or try a digital detox, a planned vacation from screens. When we unplug from the digital world, we plug back into the real one. This brings us to the second pillar, wisdom. If well-being is about physical and mental health, wisdom is about connecting to our deepest, most intuitive self. It's the inner compass that guides us when logic and data fall short. We all have this inner voice, these hunches or gut feelings. We've all experienced moments of just knowing something, even without explanation. Arianna tells the incredible story of a fire commander fighting a blaze in a simple one-story house. Suddenly, he felt something was wrong. Couldn't explain it, but his intuition screamed to get his men out. He ordered evacuation, and moments after they left, the floor they'd been standing on collapsed. The fire had been raging in a basement he didn't know existed. His intuition saved lives. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Blink, wrote about how our adaptive unconscious is like a giant computer quietly processing vast data, delivering conclusions as feelings. It's why an art historian can glance at a statue for 2 seconds and know it's fake, even when scientists spent months proving it's authentic. The problem? Modern life drowns out this inner voice. It gets buried under emails, constant notifications, relentless schedule stress. If intuition had signal bars like phones, we'd often see we're completely out of range. So how do we reconnect? Simple, but not easy. create silence. Disconnect from external noise to reconnect with internal signal. French philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Wisdom is also about seeing life as classroom. Every experience, good or bad, is a lesson. Every challenge, heartbreak, failure is, as Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, the right material to bring about your growth. Arianna shares a beautiful, deeply personal metaphor from a dream. She's on a train going home to God. Everything in life is just scenery along the way. Some is beautiful, and she wants to hold on. Some is ugly and barren, and she wishes it would pass quickly. But pain only comes when she clings to scenery, instead of accepting it's all part of the journey. This perspective allows us to move from struggle to grace. Arianna speaks movingly about her divorce and the hard work transforming that painful experience into friendship with her ex-husband for their daughter's sake. They chose to focus not on what was lost, but on what they still shared, a powerful, permanent bond as parents. It's a profound lesson in letting go of grudges and finding hidden blessings in difficult scenery. One of wisdom's greatest enemies is our distorted relationship with time. We suffer from epidemic hurry sickness. We fill lives with time-saving devices, yet feel more rushed than ever. We experience time famine, the feeling there's never enough time for what we want. Arianna's mother, Ellie, was the complete opposite. She was, in Arianna's words, filthy rich with time. She moved through days like a child, living fully present, literally stopping to smell roses. Facing difficult decisions, her advice was always, "Darling, let it marinate." She despised multitasking, once catching Arianna reading emails while talking to her children. "I abhor multitasking," she said in her thick Greek accent. She knew being shallowly connected to the entire world prevents deep connection with those closest, including ourselves. That's where wisdom lives. The antidote to hurry sickness? Join the slow movement. Not about doing everything at snail's pace. It's about doing everything at the right speed. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. As author Carl Honore says, the future will belong to those who can innovate, and innovation comes from knowing when to slow down. Finally, finding wisdom requires dealing with what Arianna calls the obnoxious roommate living in our head. That's our inner critic, constantly putting us down, feeding doubts and insecurities. Even our worst enemies don't talk to us the way we talk to ourselves. Evicting this roommate isn't about fighting it. It's about gently, consistently replacing negative messages with alternatives. For Arianna, that message is simple. The blessings already are. It's a reminder that, in mystic Julian of Norwich's words, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. It's about cultivating gratitude. One powerful practice from her daughter Christina is the 10-finger gratitude exercise. Simply list 10 things you're grateful for, counting on your fingers. A small act that powerfully shifts perspective. This leads to the third pillar, wonder. Wonder is the state we all had as children, but most lose along the way. It's our sense of delight in universe mysteries and everyday miracles. It's being present enough to see magic in rainy days, beauty in flowers, or the spectacle of stars. As children, we're in constant wonder. Arianna recalls lying on grass with young daughters watching night sky. One tried peeling a star off the heavens while the other asked the timeless question, "Mommy, what makes it go?" That question is the root of all science and philosophy. Aristotle said wonder first led people to study philosophy. But somewhere along the way, we trade wonder for knowing. We become so focused on goals, to-do lists, schedules, that we stop seeing the world. We live, as Thoreau put it, out of our senses. One powerful gateway back to wonder is through art and nature. Museums, Arianna argues, are among the last oases in our hyper-connected world. Places where we disconnect from devices and reconnect with something timeless and unquantifiable. She shares a story about her daughter Isabella, an art history major given an assignment to spend 2 hours looking at a single painting. The experience, Isabella said, was both exhilarating and unsettling. Unsettling because she realized she'd never really seen a painting before. But pushing past initial discomfort, something magical happened. Like a runner's high on a long run, she created real connection with the art. A security guard even approached. Suspicious. In our culture, someone just standing and looking at something for a long time has become unusual. We've become obsessed with documenting experiences instead of having them. We see a beautiful sunset, and our first impulse is to photograph it, post it on Instagram, prove we were there. But capturing the moment, we miss it. Comedian Louis C.K. has a brilliant routine about parents at school plays so busy recording on phones, they block their own view of their actual child. The resolution on the kid is unbelievable if you just look, he jokes. It's totally high definition. Another pathway to wonder is through the strange, delightful phenomenon of coincidence. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful parallels between interstate and external events, what one author called puns of destiny. The book is filled with wonderful examples. A woman locks herself out, and at that exact moment, the mailman arrives with a letter from her brother containing the spare key she needs. A man invents a fake phone number for a surveyor, only to learn the number he just made up is the surveyor's actual number. Two future in-laws discover upon meeting that the groom's late father had once proposed to the bride's mother back in Korea, decades earlier. These moments stop us cold. They glimpse invisible order, hidden connection in the universe. They remind us there's a bigger story happening that we're not always aware of. We don't need to assign grand cosmic meaning, but we can choose to be open to their power, to reawaken curiosity and awe. Ultimately, the deepest wonder comes from confronting the greatest mystery, death. In Western culture, we do everything to avoid talking about it. We sweep it under rugs, hide it behind medical machinery, pretend it happens to other people. But perhaps nothing teaches us more about living than remembering we will die. Memento mori, remember death, is an ancient Roman phrase. The wisdom behind it is that our time being limited is what makes it precious. Arianna asks a powerful question. Have you noticed our eulogies are very different from how society defines success? At life's end, nobody talks about promotions we got, market share we gained, or how meticulously we prepared PowerPoint slides. Our eulogies are always about the other stuff, what we gave, how we connected, how much we meant to family and friends, our small kindnesses, lifelong passions. Our eulogies are, in fact, very third metric. So why, she asks, do we spend so much limited time on Earth focusing on things our eulogy will never cover? Steve Jobs was a man whose public life meant achievement, but when his sister, Mona Simpson, delivered his eulogy, she didn't focus on the iPhone. She talked about his love for family. She described the unforgettable scene of Steve slow dancing with his son at his graduation party. Living a life embracing the third metric is about living mindful of our eventual eulogy. We're writing it every day with every choice we make. Arianna shares the incredibly moving story of her own mother's passing. On her last day, her mother, frail with congestive heart failure, insisted on going to her favorite international food market. She bought cheeses, chocolates, nuts, and when they got home, prepared a feast for daughters, granddaughters, everyone who worked in the house. It was, they knew, a last supper, but they didn't speak of it. That evening, her mother fell. But she refused to let them call paramedics. "I'm fine," she said, with authority that couldn't be questioned. She asked for red wine, and they all sat on the floor with her, having a picnic, telling stories. Then, surrounded by warmth and love of family, her head fell forward and she was gone, a death filled not with struggle but with grace. Her mother had lived by a simple philosophy, engraved on a bench in her honor: don't miss the moment. And that, ultimately, is what wonder gives us, the ability to not miss the moments of our own lives. This brings us to the final pillar, the one tying all others together, giving. Well-being, wisdom, and wonder are essential, but incomplete without service. Giving, loving, Caring, compassion, going beyond ourselves to help others, connects our personal journey to shared humanity. If the first three pillars respond to a personal wake-up call, service responds to the wake-up call for the world. What makes giving so powerful is that benefits flow both directions. It's not just about what recipients get, it's about what givers receive. Arianna tells a story from when daughter Isabella was 5. They were volunteering at a center for children in need, the day after Isabella's own birthday party, which had been filled with cake, presents, balloons. At the center, a little girl was also celebrating her 5th birthday. Her entire celebration was a single chocolate chip cookie with a candle in it. Watching this, something clicked for Isabella that no lecture could teach. When they got home, she gathered all her new birthday presents and asked to take them to the little girl. A profound moment of empathy in action. And now science confirms what all great spiritual traditions have taught for millennia: giving is a miracle drug for our own health and well-being. A Harvard Business School study showed donating to charity has similar effects on happiness as doubling household income. Another study found volunteering just once weekly provides a well-being boost equivalent to a salary increase from $20,000 to $75,000 yearly. Our bodies are literally wired to give. A fascinating UCLA study found that people whose happiness was primarily hedonic, based on self-gratification, had high levels of biological markers promoting inflammation, linked to cancer and heart disease. But people whose happiness was eudaimonic, based on purpose and service to others, had much lower levels of these inflammatory markers. Our own genes reward us for being generous. We tend to think of giving as something we do for people with nothing. But we're surrounded by opportunities to give every single day, in small, unsexy ways, as writer David Foster Wallace put it. A personal connection with the checkout clerk, a kind word to a colleague, a helping hand to a neighbor. Our culture celebrates the go-getter. Arianna suggests we should value the go-giver just as much. Go-givers are social entrepreneurs, community organizers, everyday heroes who build lives on adding value to others' lives. And, as Wharton professor Adam Grant has shown, givers actually end up more successful long-term. Salespeople with highest revenue are most motivated to help customers. Engineers with highest productivity do the most favors for colleagues. This spirit of giving is especially alive in younger generations. Millennials now lead all other generations in volunteering. This provides powerful hope for the future, a chance to rebuild civic health and strengthen social fabric of communities. The ultimate example of a life of giving for Arianna was her mother. Yaya, as everyone called her, was incapable of impersonal relationships. If the FedEx driver came to the door, he'd be invited in for a snack. A trip to the market was hours long, filled with deep conversations with vendors. Once, a stranger admired a necklace she was wearing. Her mother simply took it off and gave it to her. When the astonished woman asked what she could give in return, her mother replied with a line beautifully summing up the 4th pillar spirit. "It's not a trade, darling. It's an offering." When we give, we operate not from a sense of what we lack, but from abundance. It sends a message to the universe that we have all we need. While we grow physically by what we get, we grow spiritually by what we give. And that, in essence, is the journey of Thrive. It's a journey away from life defined by frantic, endless pursuit of more, and toward a life of well-being, wisdom, wonder, and giving. A journey onward, upward, and most importantly, inward. When you step back and look at Arianna Huffington's Thrive, you realize it's not just a book, it's a quiet revolution. In a world shouting at us to climb higher, go faster, achieve more, this book is a gentle but firm voice, asking, to what end? This is a particularly important question for young people today. You're growing up in hustle culture, where social media feeds are highlight reels of other people's accomplishments. It's easy to feel constantly behind, like you're not doing enough, that your value is measured by productivity and achievement lists. Thrive offers a powerful, necessary counter-narrative. It gives you permission to slow down, breathe, take care of yourself, not as luxury, but as essential to a successful life. For me, the single most powerful idea in the entire book is the eulogy concept. The idea that we should live our lives aligned with how we hope to be remembered is a profoundly simple but effective filter for decisions. When faced with a choice, work late or have dinner with family, chase a promotion or nurture a friendship, answer one more email or get an extra hour of sleep, you can ask, which of these will matter at the end? Which will my eulogy be about? It's a question cutting through noise straight to what truly matters. The beauty of Thrive is that it doesn't just present philosophy. It provides a practical roadmap. The 4 pillars, well-being, wisdom, wonder, and giving, aren't abstract ideals. They're actionable principles you can start integrating today. And you can start small. Here are just a few simple things you can do, inspired by lessons in this book. First, give yourself the gift of sleep. Tonight, try getting 30 minutes more sleep than usual. Put your phone in another room. Read a book instead of scrolling screens. Notice how you feel tomorrow. This isn't about being lazy. It's about being strategic. It's the ultimate performance enhancer. Second, practice 1 minute of mindfulness. Sometime today, just stop. Close your eyes. For 60 seconds, do nothing but focus on breath. Feel air come in, feel it go out. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. This tiny pause is where wisdom begins to grow. It's finding that quiet center in the middle of a noisy day. And third, perform one small act of giving. Doesn't have to be grand. Hold the door for someone. Make genuine connection with the barista serving your coffee. Send a text to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, just to say you're thinking of them. Notice how that small act of giving makes you feel. It reconnects you to your own sense of abundance. Thrive isn't a rejection of ambition or success. It's a redefinition of it. It's an invitation to build a life that's not just impressive on your resume, but also rich in joy, connection, and meaning. It's about building a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. And in a world constantly pulling us outward, this book's message is a timeless reminder that the most important journey we'll ever take is the one leading us inward. That was a summary of Thrive by Arianna Huffington. We've touched on the big ideas today, but I'll be honest, a summary is like looking at a travel brochure. It can show you pictures, but it can't give you the feeling of sun on your skin or sound of the ocean. The real magic of a book like this happens in quiet moments when you're reading it, when a particular story or simple phrase connects with you in unexpected ways. This summary is a map designed to help you decide if this is a journey you want to take. If anything we've talked about today struck a chord, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your life. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe. It tells us we're on the right track and helps us bring more of these incredible books to you. Let's keep exploring the ideas that shape our lives together.